Hi there and welcome to the Redland District Angling Association August video fisheries feedback from a rather soggy Farnham Flint. We normally like to do these things outside, but right in the middle of a heavy weather warning. There's been thunderstorms and God knows what today, so a bit of a mixed bag, which is exactly what we got for you this month. So we have our usual features. We've got our fish of the month, we've got our fishing galleries, we've got news, we've got announcements. So let's get on and I hope you find it interesting. Okay, Dell, fisheries report. What's been occurring?
Hatchery, trimming, it's, all that sort of stuff. This time of the year, there's not a huge amount going on. We just sort of like maintaining the status quo sort of thing. So Jim's been out, he's given some of the venues another trim. He's spent a lot of time over at Pingewood opening up some of the swims. It's a long time since we've done stuff like that, so he spent a bit of work over there. And it's sort of just ad hoc sort of trimming and strimming at the moment. Obviously hatchery, that's taking up a bit of my time.
So what have you got in there at the moment? You've got these little baby barbel.
Yeah,
baby barbel, haven't you?
As we've said, many times before, 30% of what we initially produce, will stay in the hatchery for a further year, and we'll be looking to stock them out probably around about April, May time next year. So we've got about 1,000 barbel, about the equivalent chub in there at the moment. They're growing well. The barbel are up to probably 2 inches long, something like that. Some of the chub are massive. I mean, some of the chub are like 3 inches long.
Well, some of them, of course, are the progeny of that 7-pounder.
So
exactly.
They've
got some really good genes, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. They're really doing quite well, some of them. But you've got a good sort of spread, and it's really sort of interesting to note, that you get some. I mean, in the trade they call them shooters, and the size difference. We've got fish in there that are barely an inch long, up to fish that are sort of 3 inches long. So the size difference is amazing. If we were a commercial operation, then the smaller ones would go and we'd keep the bigger ones, but we're not. And this is the whole thing, because it's not a commercial operation. We're trying to keep it as close to nature as you can. But interestingly, the barbel, where the chub, there is big size differences, the barbel are pretty much all the same. And that's really quite interesting. However, the barbel did come from one female, so
explain it.
Yeah, and like I say, we're learning as we're going with this, and the other thing that's quite interesting as well is the barbel. We've had probably a 1% mortality rate, whereas with the chub, it's probably getting up for sort of 5 or 6%. Again, that could be because it's one female and there's not this sort of cross sort of gene thing gone on. But it's all interesting, and we've got a diary, and every day there's entries go into there. So, we'll build up this diary over years, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to look back and say, right, this is why this has happened, and that's why that hasn't happened.
Well, as we say in fishing, every day is a school day, but certainly in fish farming as well.
It is, and like I say, I've worked out. I've got a sort of. It's actually akin to some sort of famous Shawshank Redemption type film. Right. I've actually got a chalkboard in there, and every week that goes by I put a little thing like that and then cross it through, and I've been in there at least once a day for 12 weeks. Well, so yeah, it's good. It's good.
Well, it's all going in the right direction, and great work from all of you involved. Wiley's, of course, was scheduled to start some refurbishment work.
Yeah, exactly.
Weather's buggered that up this week, isn't it?
I don't know what it is with Wiley's, but I think we're just destined to have to go the hard yards with this. I mean, we've had the problems with the neighbouring landowner and the boundary issue. We've had the floods from earlier on in the year, which absolutely decimated it. And we were literally going to start this week, and the heavens have opened. So yeah, it's just, we're just going to have to do the hard yards. It's
Well,
as that.
hopefully the weather will break and you'll be able to get back.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's move on to some other news. Steve Reed's been doing a fabulous job for us, hasn't he, in the Better Fishing Academy. So we've had some really good sessions. The Stick Float Clinic took place at Burfield. We'll put some pictures up now on August 17th. Big thanks to Mick, Fred Jones, George Callaghan, and I gave a hand as well. Completely full of very, very enthusiastic Redland District members, learning a little bit more about the gentle art of stick float fishing. And great to see Steve Sorrell went down the Loddon and had a wonderful bag of days using what he learned at the clinic, which is exactly what it's about.
I met up with a mate of mine. Long story short, it was a guy I went to school with, and we've just only recently, in the last couple of months, sort of reconnected, if you like. We went out and had a beer week before last, and he went to the stick float one, as he informed me. I didn't know he was going, and he sang its praises. He said it was great. You know, he learnt a lot, and he's now about to go out and give it a go for himself. So. Yeah, it's great. I must confess, you know, when we first had this idea, I was sceptical, but it's proven its worth.
Well, they're all starting to sell out now. The Barbel Clinic was well attended. Again, you can see from the pictures here. And, you know, big thanks to Kevin Hargreaves, Mick Holton, Charlie Jolly and George Batsford. They shared all their hints and their tips. Some of the guys, some of the tutors said, they were a bit nervous about doing it, but Steve told me once they started talking, you couldn't shut them up.
Yeah, so, and that's always the way.
Yeah, so I think it's great, and as I said on Facebook the other day, this is a club that helps, where we encourage members to help each other to get more out of their fishing.
It does us good because it puts bums on seats. It does the anglers good because they can get out in the wild and you know, look, the mental health sort of benefits of going fishing are well documented, and you know, actually catching fish is only part of it. And if we're getting people out on the banks, more people, it's better for us, better for them. Everyone's a winner.
Absolutely, and not encouraging people to sign up for this because Steve's completely full up. But we're going down to our new bit of the river that we've got access to at South Stoke. On Saturday the 14th with Andy Dodd, Dave Clark, Michael DeZeal himself, and we'll be talking people through all the tactics they need to know to catch fish out of the Thames. So that should be a good one. And then the last one in the series that Steve's organising is a Pike Clinic on October the 19th at Flint with Steve Parker and the RDAA Pike guys. There are places available to that, so email the Steve at the Better Fishing Academy address that we'll put up now if you want to book onto the Pike Clinic. But I'm delighted with it for a first year. I think it's been fabulous, and we'll undoubtedly repeat it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you know, Steve Reed has made a rod for his own back.
Well, don't put him on. Now, your little baby, this species hunt competition.
Yes.
Anything more interesting? Anything more to report?
Yeah, well, that's going well. We could do with a few more. It must be said. I think there's probably about 8 people that have sort of posted stuff up. We could do with a few more, but again, it's all about getting bums on seats and getting people doing stuff that they wouldn't ordinarily do. And I know for a fact that at least 2 or 3 of the guys would never ever dream of trying to go and catch grayling, for instance. And they've done it, and one of them very successfully.
And has anyone let us Xander yet, though?
No, not yet. But I look forward to seeing one.
Well, I saw one of our members posted one from Wallingford, so they're definitely about.
Oh yeah, that's it. I mean, the only thing is, you know, some of the people that haven't sort of kept up with the programme, if you like, you're going to start missing out on some of these species because, you know, some fish are summer species predominantly, and some are sort of winter species, and we're starting to just get to the point now where you're going to be looking at the winter species, and if you've missed out on the summer species, you might struggle a little bit. But it's going well. Well,
we'll roll it out again next year and give it a bit of a boost.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for that, Dell. And just lastly to say, so big thanks to the RDA Coaching team. They had another session the other week. Lots of fish caught, lots of happy faces. The programme has officially finished for the summer now, but there is some talk there might be an October session, but they need to check availability of tutors and coaches. So watch out on the Facebook page to see if there's going to be any further official RDA coaching at Callows and Wilmots. But yeah, really good programme, and I think on both fronts, all the volunteers, all the tutors, all the coaches have done a fabulous job for us. So thanks very much for that.
Yeah, certainly couldn't. We couldn't do what we do without them.
Couldn't. Okay, time to roll the gallery now, I think. Well done. I reckon that's a typical August gallery of fish. Every species under the sun, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could pretty much predict that.
Well, quite. Couple to pick out. Tony Graham had quite a hit from Pingewood, not Englefield, wasn't it? It was Pingewood.
Yeah, Pingewood. Yeah. I mean, we was having this discussion a little earlier. Yeah, everyone sort of has got into this habit now of looking at tench as being a spring species. They feed all year. And if you can, location gets harder. There's no two ways about that. But if you can locate them, I've caught tench when the lake's been frozen. I caught tench on Boxing Day, so they'll have it. You've just got to find them. So, I think it's probably well worth having a go.
Well, fair play to Tony. The banks are not crowded, and he's come up with a 9-pounder. And a 9-pounder in August, September. That's quite a fish. It's not carrying any spawn, clearly, is it?
That's it. Yeah, that is one hell of a fish. And that wasn't the only one he had. Apparently, he had another 3. Yeah. So, and he fished for them by design. Although Tony's a carp angler, he dropped in to one of the tackle shops and bought himself some maggots just to, while away a few hours while he's waiting for his carp rods to go off, and caught them by design. So, fair play. That's a great catch.
The other couple of fish I'd quite like to highlight, Dell, is a couple of youngsters here. Freddie Page had a day with his dad, Shane, and just was expecting to catch roach and run bits and pieces out of Brownlee, and he caught one of those big bream that he stopped a while ago.
Yeah. They're coming on quite nicely, those bream, to be fair. Look, seeing any young lads catching fish, that's what it's all about. 20 years time, you may well be running this club. So, it's great to see the young lads out there. I mean, Aidan Jordan, another one. He's started on Wilmots, he's done a bit on Callows, he's done a bit on Brownlee, he's now sort of gravitated towards Cottage Lane by the looks of things. And it's just great to see the kids.
Yeah, and so, well done, Aidan, as well. It's a cracking common you had out of Cottage Lane. I don't think it's going to be long before we'll see him posing with a those big fish from Flint and
yeah.
elsewhere. He's clearly a good angler in the making.
Yeah, exactly. And he's doing it properly. He's starting at the bottom and working his way up.
Yeah,
you know, there's far too many of these young lads at the moment that just, go in, watch a load of YouTube videos, go into Angling Direct, get mummy and daddy to buy them carp fishing gear, and off they go, expecting to catch 40-pound carp. The best way of doing it, start at the bottom, learn your craft, and then move on, and you'll be a better angler for it.
I couldn't agree more. And of course, the beauty with the waters we've got is we can give anglers that progression. All the way through. Right. Okay. So it's now down to you to select your favourite fishing picture of the month. Well, I've got an idea which one you might choose, but you tell us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a no-brainer, to be perfectly honest. And this guy's had it before. I think he's had it probably once or twice before. So he's starting to get a bit of a collection of caps. Rob Walton. I mean, the not only is it a cracking photo, I mean, it really is a cracking photo. Apparently he done it on his phone, which is another plus, fair play. But it was actually a carp caught on a fly out of Wilmots. So everything ticks every box in my book. He's done it in an unusual way. Fly fishing is not easy. I know he's starting to learn. He's learning it this year. It's not easy. Fantastic photo on his phone. It's great. So Rob, let us know what you want. I'm sure it'll be the coarse fishing pack as opposed to the carp fishing pack, and you will have another hat.
Congratulations, Rob. I don't think we particularly want to encourage 30 people at a time to be fly fishing Wilmot.
Yeah, I think that would. Yeah.
Just if you are going to bring a fly rod down to Wilmots, just make sure there's not too many other people around. Okay?
Yeah, do it safely. I mean, the thing is, it's perfectly doable, and I have absolutely no problem with people doing it. However, if it gets to the point where we've got hordes of people down here flicking fly lines all over the place, then we might have to do something about it. But the odd one or two, just be sensible, use the right gear, and it's fine.
Shall we just mention at this point, since we're talking about it, that you've got some new signs and rules going up for Wilmot? I notice you're actively now discouraging people from using whips on Wilmots.
Yes, we get a few. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the sort of fishery that Wilmots is, you are going to get the odd rod and things like that going in. People they're playing with their phone or looking at somebody or something, and the rod shoots off. Because Wilmots is very shallow, the fish can only go away from you. They don't go down, they go away. So we do get the odd rod being dragged in and things like that. But when it gets to the point where people are fishing to hand with whips that are only designed to be catching fish of a pound and a half, we've got to do something about it. And we've had 3 or 4 whips go missing, and it's not the one for you, because the chances of you catching a fish on a whip are slim.
Yeah, well, they're supercharged in Wilmots.
Exactly, and 2, it's not fair on the fish.
No.
So, we can't afford the time to keep coming down here picking rods out of the water as well. We have got other things to be doing. Yeah.
So let's be quite clear there, Dell. Pole fishing, obviously, proper elasticated kit, fine.
Yeah.
But a standard tiddler bashing whip is not what we want to see on Wilmots.
I mean, we have got in our rules. There's a little paragraph in there that you have got to have the appropriate tackle for the species of fish that you're targeting. Now that gets missed a little bit. So what we've done is we've just pulled that out and we've highlighted the fact, and there'll be new signs going up around Wilmot.
Smashing. Right, well, let's move on to the thing that I get to decide on each month, which I really enjoy. It's my favourite part of the video, and that is the Fish of the Month competition. Now, normally we look at one of the amazing specimen fish that our members catch every single month, and we look at it against the British record, but we also have another criteria that is an exceptional catcher for the water. And whilst this one is not going to bother the British record unduly, the 1 pound 10 ounce grayling that Colin Pocock got from Benyon's was a fabulous fish for loads and loads of different reasons.
Yeah.
A, it makes you incredibly happy because they're all your babies.
Yeah.
B, it shows that the grading that we stopped with the agency a few years ago are prospering. For them to, I mean, that fish is going to be 4 to 5 years old.
Yep.
It's in perfect condition, and one of the bigger ones reported to us. So I just think, for a change, instead of having a monster barbel, a monster carp, a monster tench, a monster perch, a monster pike, let's just have this beautiful grayling, which for the lower kennet is a specimen.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I know people that fish for grayling at the top end of the river that would be chuffed with our fish that size, let alone down the bottom end of the river. And, you know, that fish is a female fish and that will spawn. And that just, I mean, again, going back to the hatchery, that's what sort of started the hatchery off. So that fish is a really, really important fish for Redden District. And Colin, you know, Colin was one of the ones I was mentioning earlier on. There's never in a million years, without the species hunt, would Colin have gone fishing for grayling on Redden District.
Yeah, I thought you meant him.
So, you know, that sort of validates the fishery, the specimen hunt, if you like, the reason for it. And it's given Colin a bit of a window into what else is out there.
Absolutely. Well, Colin, I'll be getting in touch with you. There's a 50 quid Angling Direct voucher, so thanks to them for that, and a trophy waiting for you. So congratulations, our Fish of the Month for August, Colin Pocock with that lovely grayling.
Well done.
Right, time now for Jim and fishing prospects. Well, Jim, September is upon us. What are you reckoning?
Well, we've got a bit of rain already this month, so yeah, I'd say it's going to be all your species this month. Before we get this sort of cold snap, if anyone wants to sort of get out on the rivers and sort of trot in for sort of smaller stuff and that and get a real bag of fish together, sort of now is going to be a good time to do it. With this, especially with this little bit of rain we've got, these fish are going to be really on the feed. And coming into these sort of winter months, if you want to get out for a lovely afternoon sitting with a stick float, now is going to be the time to do it, because once we start to get these few cold snaps, then sort of catching multiple different species in a day, that's going to sort of die off. You're going to be sort of maybe targeting more the roach, or whereas if you just want to go out and get a mixed bag of fish, now's the time to be doing it. So get your maggots, get your stick floats and get out there.
And of course, I think one of the reasons that autumn, we're coming into autumn now, is a good time to fish, is that fish sense the seasons change, don't they? So they start to feed up for the winter,
Yeah,
you know?
certainly do. Yeah, I think it was Steve who I was chatting with who caught a couple of barbel this week. He's really chuffed, and I sort of having a sort of chat with him, and I was saying, what do you sort of think made you catch these fish? Because he's been out quite regularly and he's sort of been struggling a little bit. And he said we had a little bit of rain the day before, and he's pretty sure it just put that little bit of colour in the water, and then fish were really on the feed that day. So if you get these days where you get a slight bit of downpour the day before and the river gets a tiny bit of colour in, get those smelly baits on, get out there, and the barbel and the chub are going to be having it.
And of course it's still very, very good for tension, for carp this time of year as well,
Oh yeah,
isn't it?
certainly, yeah. I've been around sort of the pits the last couple of weeks, and there's not really a day I go past and I can walk past someone in a swim and there's not a wet mat sat on the floor. So yeah, the carp are really on the feed at the minute too.
Excellent. And finally, we've got one nice £3 perch up on our gallery. I've always tended to think September, October time is a prime time really to go and chase some of those big perch on the tench, and what am I talking about? On the kennet and on the tench.
Yeah, certainly is. Yeah, again, these perch are coming into this winter through the sort of summer months. They're all really sort of spread out, if you like. But come this sort of time of year, when these sort of the smaller fish are all sort of starting to group up on that, these perch are going to be grouping up as well. So if you can get out there and find a sort of shoal of decent perch, yeah, you can catch some real big ones, and not just one or two in a day. You can catch multiple 5 or 6 3-pounders in an afternoon if you're in the right swim.
It's been a while since I've done that, but it can be done.
It can be done for sure, yeah. There's people out there doing it, so I'd say get out there. Don't spend too long in a swim. This time of year, if you're putting bait in a swim, if there's fish there in front of you, you should be catching them. So if you're doing an hour in a swim, if you put a bit of bait in, you're not getting anything, get on your toes and get moving. The fish are there, you just got to find them.
Thanks very much, Jim.
Good luck, everyone.
Okay, that's it for another month. And as Jim says, September's normally a pretty good month for fishing for almost anything. So have a great time out there and tight lines.